हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री दुर्गाये नमः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यंकरवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। भवानी शङ्करौ वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धा स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेदसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगता अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्य देहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 ॐ नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वतीपतये। हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। So Bhagwan tells Arjuna that follow the path of Karma Yoga, because Karma Yoga alone makes us fit for meditation. Karma Yoga is the path which makes us yogarudha and we become fit for meditation. So Bhagavan says, Arurukshor muner yogam karma karanam uchyate, and yogarudhasya tasyeva kshamak karanam uchyate. One who wants to become yogarudh, one who wants to meditate, then for that person karma is the first step till one becomes yogarudh. And once we become yogarudh, then we can meditate. Yogarudh means when we have no attachment to the sense objects, when we have no attachment to any actions, when we have dropped all sankalpa and have become free of all these kamanas which arise from sankalpa, then that person becomes fit to meditate and transcend this world and gain abidance in his own self. If we have something to do or gain from the world, then we cannot transcend the world. But when we have given up all desire to attain anything of this world, then we can transcend the world. Just like the plane takes off, when it leaves the earth, leaves the ground. Similarly, we can take off in our flight of meditation when we give up all sankalpa towards this world. So once we become yogarudh, then Bhagavan says you lift yourself by yourself. Uddharet atmanatmanam na atmanam avasadhaye. Don't let yourself fall down. Means put forth effort to gain that abidance in your own self. Because this is also not a very easy path. In this we need supreme understanding and supreme faith, because we are moving in a path of unknown towards that supreme, unknowable reality which cannot be comprehended fully with our senses, our mind, intellect, which is beyond this world. So we have to surrender to that supreme. So for that we have to put forth effort. So Bhagavan says, raise yourself by yourself and don't allow yourself to fall down. Be careful, slowly and steadily you rise to gain that liberation. And on this path, on the path of meditation, on the path of Jnana-nishtha, we are our own friend and we are our own enemies. Atmaeva yatmana bandhuhu, atmaeva ripur atmanaha. If we have made friendship with our mind, our intellect, our antakarana, then they will help me to attain my supreme goal. But if my antakarana are not my friends, then it will become difficult. Then they will create obstacles, just like enemies, they create obstacles. So when do I become my own friend and when I am my own enemy? That is explained in the next verse, verse number 6. Bhagavan says, Bandhuratmatmanastasya enatmaivatmana jitaha anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmaiva Shatruvata. Bhagavan says that Bandhuhu, our friend, Atma, Atmanah Tasya, our own self is our own friend. Atma, Atmanah Tasya Bandhuhu, Ena Atma Eva Atmana Jitaha. One who has conquered his own self by his own self. Means how many selves are there? See, the self is one, but when we identify with our body, mind, we consider them also our self. So here what Bhagavan is saying is that this body, what we consider ourself due to ignorance, and our senses, our mind, antakarana, all of them should be conquered. Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji writes कि Atma means Karya Karana Sanghataha. Karya Sanghata, this body which is made up of the 5 elements, and all the Karana, all the instruments, the 10 organs of action and perception, and the Antakarana Chatushtaya, they are all instruments. And the instrument, ultimately they are functioning for my sake, for the sake of the self. But if they start creating, or they start acting haphazardly, then it will be a problem. So our body, our senses and our mind should be under our control. Under our control means it should be under the control of good understanding. So in our buddhi, when we have right wisdom, in our ahankar, we have that purity that I am the instrument in the hands of Bhagwan. Bhagwan is my ultimate master. And in my chitta, I have proper memory of Ishvara. In my mind, I have emotion towards Ishvara. I have used my body for seva of Ishvara. When I use all my equipments, tune them towards the higher goal, for higher purpose, and they are well integrated and well tuned and well under my control. When all this equipment, because without this equipment we can't do our sadhana, we need them. So when these equipments are under my control, bandhuhu atmanah tasya ena atmana atma eva jitaha. One who has conquered this sharir, mana, buddhi equipment, then they become my friend, means I become my own friend. Then I can follow this path of meditation without much effort. Because as I said, when we meditate, it is a journey to go within. See, when we are following the path of karma yoga, path of dharma, then others can accompany me, because it's a journey in this world where others can accompany. But when I am taking this final leap, meditation, niridhyasan, then it is a journey which I have to take alone. Akele. Ekala chalo re. One has to go alone towards that supreme Brahma, our own self. So, in this journey, our own mind, our own intellect, if they are under my control, then they will act as my friend. Then I will be my own friend. Then there will not be any obstacle. But if they are not under my control, if my body, doesn't help me to sit for a long time to meditate. If my senses run wild, I want to meditate, but they want to experience the world. If my mind is not under my control, it just runs here and there towards the objects of its liking. If my intellect is not focused on the Supreme Self, if my chitta keeps on bringing out memories of unrelated stuff, that means my antakarana is not under my control, then they will act like my enemies only. But since they belong to me, everything is within, so I myself become my own enemy. So anatmanastu shatrutve vartet atma eva shatruvata. So they will act like my own enemy. And who are the enemies? Without any rhyme and reason, who create obstacles in our path. Apakari. They create obstacle, hindrance, hurt us, gives us all sorts of disturbance and pain. So our own body, our own senses, our own mind will cause lot of disturbance to us if they are not under our control. We don't require any outer enemies to trouble us then. Our own mind can irritate us, can trouble us. See, in the world also, sometimes we come across some people who, in their company, we feel totally exhausted. Some people come, our own friend, our own neighbor, our own relative, or some acquaintance. They will come and talk non-stop. They will pour out all their trouble on our head. They start criticizing the whole world. They start talking all sorts of nonsense, expressing different types of emotions of anger, jealousy, greed, ashraddha, or total illogical thing, keep on blabbering, and we are sitting there listening to them. We get totally drained out. They might, after an hour of exhausting their whatever they want to say, they might go very happy. But we will feel totally drained out, as though our whole life energy is sucked out. So if a person can torture us so much and drain our all energy, what to talk about that same person torturing themselves? They have to live with themselves. They must be troubling their own self so much. Our Pujya Gurudev used to say that if you don't like your own company, then don't impose it on others. You should close the doors, windows, and just remain alone in your own room. So, the joy and sorrow which we ourselves can give to ourselves is tremendous. If we have conquered our antakarana, we can be absolutely peaceful and happy in all situations at all times. But if our antakarana is not under our control, we can be unhappy in all situations, in all times. See, in the world, there is no situation or no condition which can promise that a person can remain happy. There are people who are very wealthy and unhappy, very popular and unhappy, very rich and unhappy, very knowledgeable and unhappy. very young and unhappy, very healthy and unhappy, very unhealthy and unhappy. So for unhappiness, no conditions are required. If our mind is not under our control, we can be unhappy in all the outer conditions. But if our mind is under our control, then we can be happy in all conditions. Person can be even in hell and be happy. So Bhagavan says that one who has conquered his own antakarana and his body and senses, he becomes his own friend. But one who has not conquered his own body, mind, intellect, senses, he will be like his own enemy. So this is the most important factor if we want to meditate. When we become fit for meditation, the one important quality is that our mind should be totally under our control. Means the mind should listen to us. When we tell the mind, you just sit quietly, don't disturb me, just sit quietly, the mind just obeys and sits still. So you must have observed the horse. When a person is riding a horse, the horse are very active and very rajasic. They don't stay at one place steady. They keep on moving. But sometimes the horse rider achieves so much control over the horse, they just instruct the horse to stay still, and the horse stays absolutely still. Even some dogs, the owners, they train the dogs in such a way that when the dog is given some instruction to run, he runs. If he is given instruction to stand still, he just stands still. They can even keep something on his head and it doesn't fall. So much control. That control if we have on our own antakarana, then we are absolutely ready to meditate and realize our own self. That's what Bhagavan now says, that one who has conquered his self will be able to attain that Brahma. In the next verse he says, Jitatmana prashantasya paramatma samahitaha shitoshna sukha dukkheshu tatha manapamanayoho. Bhagavan says, Jitatmanaha. See, this one quality. This means after gaining knowledge, after becoming, achieving karma sannyas, after becoming yoga rudha, Bhagavan says what is the most important thing is to have total mastery over your own mind. Mind means antakarana. So jitatmanaha, so one who has conquered his mind, that person will be able to transcend the mind. See, ultimately we have to transcend the mind. This mind is also an expression of that Maya Shakti of Bhagavan. And when we transcend this mind, we come to experience Bhagavan as our own self. In the 7th chapter also Bhagavan talks about this Maya, ki daivi hesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mameva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. One who surrenders to me, he is able to transcend this Maya. So this Maya Rupi mind, we can transcend when we achieve control over it through proper sadhana, through proper understanding, through proper wisdom. Control doesn't mean suppression. Control doesn't mean torture. Control doesn't mean creating disturbing the mind. Control is a friendly, with wisdom, we attain that full mastery over our own antakarana. That when we instruct them to just keep quiet, they keep quiet. When we instruct the mind to think of a particular object, it thinks of that object. When we instruct the mind to shift the attention from that object to another, it shifts. Means it is totally under our control. So Bhagavan says, Jitatmanaha, one who has got this antakaran in his control. And what is the sign of that? Prashantasya. We experience supreme peace. Because all disturbance is disturbance of the mind only. If the mind is at rest, if the mind is peaceful, we are peaceful. We experience peace. If the mind is disturbed, we experience disturbance. As Pujya Gurudev says, the tranquility of our mind is directly proportional to the quietude, tranquility which we experience is directly proportional to the tranquility of the mind. If the mind is peaceful, we experience peace. Mind is disturbed, we experience disturbance. So when the mind is peaceful and under control, we experience supreme peace. Prashantasya. That is the real thing. There are people who are so strong and powerful that they are out conquering the whole world. But the scripture says that even if you conquer the whole world, but unable to conquer your own mind, then you are a very poor person. But if we can conquer our mind, then we are the master of this entire universe. So as I said, we have to conquer this mind with love, with proper wisdom, with proper understanding. Because if we suppress the mind, then it will try to escape. But if we have conquered it, then the mind will remain with us, ever peaceful, ever ready to help us. So Bhagavan says, Jitatmanaha prashantasya, one who experienced this prasannata, prasanna antakaranasya, means that prasada buddhi, or that prasada is experienced, that inner joy. When a person experiences that inner joy because of the quietude of his mind and the mind under his control, then Bhagavan says, meditation happens. Meditation is not something which we have to proactively pursue. No doubt proactively also we should do. But when all the conditions are fulfilled, meditation happens. Like sleep. When all the conditions are fulfilled, person goes to sleep. See, there are some people who just fall asleep under certain conditions. They have their own favorite conditions. There are some people who, when they just sit and in a car or something and travel, they fall asleep. There are some people who are in a meeting, they fall asleep. There are some people who, when they go to pravachan, they fall asleep. At home, when they try to sleep, they can't sleep. So certain conditions of the world around and the condition of the mind, and it's sleep. It goes to sleep. Similarly, when we achieve certain condition of our antakarana, we go into meditation. Meditation happens, and that one condition is prasannata. Prasanna chetaso yashu buddhi paryavatishthati. When we gain that prasannata, when we are totally, deeply happy within because of the purity of our mind, then there is no movement outward. Then automatically our whole attention goes within. It's the most amazing thing. When we are unhappy, we tend to go outside. We want to do something, we want to change something. But when we are totally happy, then there is no nothing. There is no motivation for any action, because all actions are performed for happiness. But when I feel deeply satisfied and happy, there is no movement outside, so automatically the whole attention shifts within. One gains deep abidance in one's own self, and all that I have learnt, all the knowledge which I have acquired through Shravana Manana gets fulfilled. I come to understand I am Atma Brahma. Bhagavan says Paramatma Samahitaha. For such a person, that Paramatma is experienced directly. Sakshat Atma Bhavena Vartate Ityartaha. One comes to recognize that Paramatma, that Supreme Self, the Self which is all pervading, the Self which exists everywhere. One comes to recognize that Paramatma as our own self. Like the space in the pot comes to know that I am the total space. I am not confined only to this pot, but I am that universal space. There is no difference between me and that Supreme Brahma. I am Brahma. Meditation is a sahaja, is a natural thing. It is going back to our own source. Actually, waking, dream and deep sleep are unnatural, really speaking. What is more natural and most intimate is this meditation. But for that, for achieving anything in the world, we require effort. But to achieve our own self, we require dropping all effort. When you drop everything, all your effort at that right moment, when we have gained that total control over our senses and mind, and just be, then we just merge and come to recognize our own identity with that Supreme Brahma. So jitatmana prashantasya paramatma samahitaha. So Bhagavan says one who has conquered his mind and gained that prasannata and that peace within comes to attain that meditation sahaj, spontaneously achieves meditation and experiences his oneness with the Supreme Self. About Naradji, it is said in the stories there in the Puranas that he was as though cursed that he will not remain at one place, because wherever he is to go is to give his influences people to give up all their worldly attachment and become sannyasis only. So somebody had cursed him that you will not stay at one place for more time. So Naradji was happy. He keeps on moving everywhere. But when once he went to the Himalayas, and the whole Himalayan region was so peaceful and so very pure, everything was reminding of that supreme reality, absolutely peaceful and quiet and prasanna, happy. So Naradji felt very peaceful and very happy there, and he just sat there and went into meditation automatically. Tulsidas ji says that even the gati of that shrapa, that curse also could not reach him. He just sat there and went into meditation. Indra Bhagwan got scared. He wondered, why is he meditating? Is he trying to take my throne? So Indra Bhagwan sends Kamadeva, the devata of Kama, of desire, and he tried to disturb Naradji. Naradji did not get disturbed at all. He just opened his eyes, looked at that Kamadev, but there was not a trace of Kamna in his heart and not a trace of anger also. Because he has reached natural state of meditation. Sahaja. Sahaja. So that's what Bhagavan says, that if you follow this path of Karma Yoga, Chitta Shuddhi, Jnana Prapti, Karma Sannyas, that Karma Sannyas itself, one becomes Yoga Rudh, and then meditate with that prasannata of your mind, you will attain that state of meditation. You will understand your oneness with that Supreme Brahma. See, here Bhagavan briefly tells us that how he attains that oneness with that Supreme. The details he will talk later on, but here now Bhagavan talks about this person who has attained that oneness with that Supreme Reality, such an enlightened yogi, enlightened master. How does he live in this world? What is his response to this world once he has gained that direct realization of the self as Brahma? Then Bhagavan says, he looks at the whole world as an expression of Brahma. See, in the beginning we close our eyes and meditate and understand our oneness. But once that realization happens, then whether our eyes are closed or open, it doesn't matter. Whether we are sitting at one place or walking, it doesn't matter. Yoga ratova, bhoga ratova, sanga ratova, sanga vihina, yasya brahmani ramate chittam, nandati 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 eva. One whose chitta is reveling in Brahma, one who has experienced his oneness with Brahma, then such a person is sitting, meditating, or he is indulging in work, he is alone or in company, he is always in that samadhi only. Yatra yatra mano yati tatra tatra samadhayah. He has reached that sahaja samadhi avastha. Then need not formally close the eyes, sit at one place and meditate. Such a person, when he looks at this world, he looks at everything as the expression of Brahma only. Then that sahaj, he sees that expression of Brahma, means his own self. Atma va idagam sarvam. He sees himself as this whole world. So Bhagavan says, Shitoshna sukha dukkheshu tatha manapamana yoho samaha. He remains saman in all the different situations of this world. Shita Ushna. See, even an enlightened person experiences Shita means cold. Ushna means warm. So if it is winter, he will experience that cold. If it is summer and all, like nowadays, he will experience that heat. And depending on the outer condition, the body also will go have ups and downs, sometimes healthy, sometimes unhealthy, sometimes having some pain in the body. Even the mind may undergo changes according to the prarabdha. There will be sukha, there will be dukkha. Means thought of sukha can come in the mind due to prarabdha, or thought of dukkha can also come. Sometimes that person, an enlightened person, is honored by the world and people around. Because this honor and dishonor also comes according to our own prarabdha. According to our prarabdha, we get honor in this world. And if the prarabdha is not is different, we get dishonor also. Even great Mahatmas, they are honored and dishonored in this world. But how does the yogi, enlightened master, respond? He looks at everything with samatva bhava only. Sama because he sees that presence of Brahma in cold also, in heat also, in Sukha also, in Dukkha, in Man as well as Apamana. All these dvandvas are experienced at the level of the body, the level of the senses, the level of the antakarana. But an enlightened person is seated in that Brahma. For him, everything is expression of that Brahma only. Siya Rama May Sab Jagajani. So in Sukha, Dukkha, he sees the same. Sukha Dukkhe Same Kritva Labha Labho Jaya Jayo. In Sukha, Dukkha, Labh, Hani, Jaya, Parajay, he sees the presence of that same Brahma. So his state of enlightenment doesn't get disturbed. His abidance in that self doesn't get disturbed by the conditions of this world. Because it is not, his abidance is not an expression of his mind. His abidance is not a result of karma. His abidance is his own swarupa, his own nature. Just like space. Once one comes to know that the space in the pot is the space everywhere, then the movement of the pot doesn't disturb the space. Even if the pot gets broken, the space is not disturbed. The stillness of the pot or the movement of the pot doesn't affect the space at all. So, Shitoshna Sukha Dukkheshu Tatha Manapamanayoho. Further, Bhagwan describes this enlightened master in the next verse. He says, Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutastho Vijitendriyaha Yukta Ityuchyate Yogi Samaloštashma Kanchanaha. Bhagavan says, this Kutastaha yogi, this yogi, who is firmly abiding in his own self, who has direct realization of his own self. This realization is not a theory, not a concept. It is a direct experience. It's called aparoksha anubhuti. Anubhuti, experience without the need for any media, any medium. Immediate experience of the self. Just like our sleep, we don't require any media to experience sleep. Similarly, we don't require anything else to experience our own self. So, such a yogi who is firmly abiding in the self is also Jnana Vijnana Truptatma, his Antakarana. See, even after gaining enlightenment, the world continues to be there. The body continues to be there. The Antakarana continues to be there, because all of them are expressions of Maya. They are not expressions of avidya. If they were the expression of avidya, they would have disappeared. Just like a snake disappears when we see the rope. When we come to know that it is a rope, we had that notion that it is a snake. That notion disappears. The snake disappears. But this world is not like a snake. The world is like a pot and Brahma is like the clay. The world is like ornaments and Brahma is like gold. So when we come to know the gold, the ornament don't disappear. When we come to know Brahma, the world doesn't disappear. The body, mind, intellect doesn't disappear. Then what disappears? Our wrong notions, our misunderstandings disappears. So one gains firm understanding of the reality. That's what Bhagavan says, Jnana Vijnana Triptatma. His Antakarana becomes tripta, becomes fully satisfied. Means there are no doubts. Satisfied with what? With jnana, with knowledge, and vijnana, with the direct experience of that knowledge. Jnana means the knowledge which is revealed in the Shastras. Shankaracharya ji writes कि ज्ञानम शास्त्रोक्त पदार्थानाम परिज्ञानम. When we study the Shastras tell us, who am I? What is this world? Who is Ishvara? So we gain the theoretical understanding. But when we do Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasan, we gain direct realization of it. That is called Vijnana. So Vijnana means Vijnanam tu Shastratah Jnatanam Tatha Eva Svanubhavakaranam. What we have understood to the Shastra, when we gain the experience, then that is the Vijnana. Tabhyam Jnana Vijnanabhyam Truptaha Sanjata Alam Pratyaya Atma Antakaranam Yasya. So when we are trupta, our antakaran becomes fully satisfied. There remains no doubt, no confusion. Everything is clear. See, our Shastras tell us everything very clearly about everything. About ourselves, about Ishvara, about the world. But when we study, we always have some doubts or other. But when we gain that direct realization, all our doubts disappear. There is a very famous mantra which says कि भिद्यते हृदय ग्रंथे ही छिंदन्ते सर्व संशयाः क्षीयन्ते च यस्य कर्माणि तस्मिन् दृष्टे परावरे. That when we directly realize, experience that supreme truth, the granthi, the knot of our heart, the chit jada granthi, the jnana get destroyed. Vidyate hridaya grantihi chindyante sarva samshayaha. All our doubts gets eliminated and all the karmas get dissolved once we realize the Supreme Self as our own Self. When we directly experience ourself as Brahma. So jnana vijnana truptatma kutastaha vijitendriyaha. One who has the whole antakarana, mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankar, sharir, everything under his control. An enlightened person, sharira, mana, buddhi, everything is under his control. They just don't then function without rhyme and reason. Such a person is yukta iti uchyate yogi. Such a yogi is called yukta. Yukta means connected, means well integrated. Become one with that Brahma, one who has become one, an enlightened yogi, an enlightened master, not a seeker, not a practitioner, but one who has reached the final state of realization. So yukta iti uchyate yogi samaloštashma kanchanaha. Again his attitude towards all objects of this world also becomes sama. Sama loshta ashma kanchana. Loshta means mud, kichad. Ashma means stone. Kanchana means gold. An ignorant person gives different values to different objects of this world. Because we give value to objects depending on their outer name and form and their utility in the world. But for an enlightened person who has dropped all his interaction with the world, has got no desire, has gained that fulfillment in his self, he looks at all these objects also as expression of Brahma only, which is Saman everywhere. So the Brahma which is there in a mud, the Brahma in stone and the Brahma in gold is same. So he will look at gold and look at stone also with the same reverence as he looks at everything else as Brahma. He will not have special value for gold. So samaloštashma kanchanaha. See, first it was said, he remains shama in shitoshna sukha dukkheshu manapamanayohu. These are the different situations which we have to face. Then we have to face different objects of this world. In that also he looks at everything as saman. Then we have to face different types of people in this world. Sometimes it becomes very difficult to remain same, to have similar vision towards different types of people in this world. Here one may have that equal vision towards the object, but to have equal vision towards the people might be difficult. But enlightened person looks at all different beings also with the same vision, that all of them are expressions of Brahma. That's what is said now in the next verse. Suran mitraryudasina madhyasthadvaishya bandhushu sadhushvapi cha papeshu samabuddhir vishishyate. Bhagavan says that samabuddhihi, this enlightened yogi, has got samabuddhi, has got same understanding when he looks at and interacts with different people in this world. See, the sadhu, the enlightened person, looks at everything in the same vision, but everyone doesn't look at a sadhu in the same vision. The enlightened person looks at everything as Brahma, but everyone doesn't look at an enlightened person as Brahma, doesn't look at an enlightened person as a master or a guru, doesn't look at an enlightened person as a good person, or doesn't have friendly attitude. So people are different. So they have different attitude towards everyone and towards an enlightened person also. So there may be someone who is surut, who is a well-wisher of this enlightened person. See, always according to our own prarabdha, we have different types of people coming in our life, and different types of people going away from our life also. So if they are coming, welcome them. If they are going, don't stop them. Agate swagatam kuryat gachantam na nivarayet. Because everyone has got their own role in our life. Once that role is over, they also leave us and go. So there are some people who are surut, our well-wishers. So surut ityadi. Surut iti prati upkaram anapeksha upakarta. Who is a surut? Bhagavan says one who does good to us without expecting anything in return. A well-wisher, but not just a passive well-wisher, but one who does something good to us without expecting anything, not even a thank you from us. Is called a surut. They are the most beautiful people in this world, who help us, who do good thing to us, but they don't expect anything. See, many times we meet strangers in this world whom we may never meet again while traveling, while moving in this world. But there are people who help them, who take care of them, who serve them, who smile at them, who they are very friendly with them. They may not meet them again. Not only human beings, but there are people who are so helpful and so nice to even animals, birds, plants, whom they know that they might not get anything from them. But without expecting anything, they help them. Sometimes these animals and all come into some trouble, they fall into some trap, or they get stuck into some artificial, some fans or something. Always you see these videos. So people are there who will go and help them. But these wild animals, they don't know. So sometimes they kick or they bite them also. But they continue to help them, going through all the risk of being bitten or being kicked or being hurt. They serve them. So they are suhrut, well-wishers. So how does an enlightened person look at the well-wisher? As the expression of Brahma. Then there are some people who are friendly with us, mitra, who has got special affection to us. They are mitra. Then Ari. Ari means Shatru, our enemies, without rhyme and reason, who trouble us. They are the enemies. Then Udasina. Udasin means who is indifferent towards me also and others also. Means remain indifferent. Suppose two people are fighting, this third person is Udasin, means he is neither interested in this person nor interested in the other person. They remain Udasin, indifferent. There are some people who are indifferent towards you. Udasin. Then there are those who are Madhyastha. They are the one who are friendly towards both. Means two persons are fighting or having argument. This person is a well-wisher of this person also and the other person also. It's called Madhyastha. Madhyastha. Mediator like. Is a mediator. He loves this person also, means he is a well-wisher of this party also and the other party also. It's called Madhyastha. Viruddhayoho ubhayoho hitaishi. Well-wisher of both. Then Dveshya. Then there are some people who dislike us, who hate us. Whatever be the reason. They just don't like us. Maybe they don't like our nose. Whatever be the reason, they just don't like, they hate. So there are people who hate. Then Bandhu. Bandhu means the relatives. There are relatives. Some people have lots of relatives, some have less relatives. Some people suddenly find relatives when they gain some prosperity in their life. They find new relatives coming and revealing themselves. So there are relatives, bandhu. Then sadhushu. There are sadhus, good people, who follow the path of dharma. They are called sadhu. Shastra anuvartishu. Then there are papis, sinners, who go against the path of dharma. Pratishiddha karishu, sarveshu, iteshu. So they are papis. So all these different types of people have different attitude toward that enlightened person. So how does he look at them? Bhagavan says samabuddhi. He looks at them with saman buddhi. Their expression, outer expression is the expression of their body and their antakarana. But beyond their antakarana is the same self. The self in me and the self in a papi also is the same. So an enlightened person has got vision, eyes on that self which is same everywhere. He doesn't pay attention to outer expression. His attention is on that self. So sadhushu api cha papeshu samabuddhir vishishyate. Remains same. Here very beautiful sentence of Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji, he writes कि किम कह किम कर्मा इति अव्यापृत बुद्धि. That enlightened person doesn't bother to find out who is doing what. Who is doing what means this faltu, that curiosity people generally have in this world. They keep on putting their nose in everybody's business. They want to see and know and understand what others are doing. A person is walking on the road in your neighborhood, you want to know where he is going, what is he carrying, what dress he is wearing, whom he is meeting, what is he talking, why he is going there, why not here. फालतू चीज़ें, कौन क्या कर रहा है, इसी में लोगों का मन जो है उलझा रहता है. But here Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji writes that an enlightened person doesn't waste his energy to know who is doing what. Because one will go mad. There are so many people in the world, and if you know everything who is doing what, you will go mad. That's what happens actually nowadays with all these facilities. We come to know everything about, lot of things about lot of people because of the social media and television and Facebook and WhatsApp and all. People know everything, so many things about, and then we have opinion about everyone and everything. Why somebody died, what happened, who committed suicide, who met with an accident, who married, who got divorced, किसको कितने बच्चे हो गए, किसको कौन कहाँ गया है, वो कहाँ है, कौन कहाँ नौकरी करता है, कौन कौन से फैशन में है, and all sorts of things. And they also put their videos or some photographs and all, and we are the first one to jump and comment on them. So all these things are there. Who is doing what? An enlightened person, he doesn't bother with that. The world is going on from beginningless time. Different types of beings are doing different types of things in this world. If we keep our head in them only, we will go mad. Thinking about our own action, we are already going mad. But with thinking about everyone's action and all, we will totally go bonkers. So don't put your head in other person's business and all. Do whatever kartavya karma you have. But an enlightened person who is established in the self, he is not bothered about anything. If somebody comes to an enlightened person with some request or some prayer and asking for something, he will bless them. But he will not go out of the place and try to do something. Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi sitting in his that ashram, he will bless the whole world. But he will not go out of his place and start doing some social work and planting trees and doing all sorts of prachar and running around here and there. No. If people come to him for blessing, he will bless. In fact, there is no need for him to do anything. The very presence of an enlightened person is a blessing to the whole world. See the level of ocean, the level of water in ocean all over the world, it remains steady. But if the snow melts in the Arctic or the Antarctic region, then all this melted snow goes into the ocean and the level of the ocean increases everywhere. If the global warming continues and all the ice melt, then the whole level of ocean water will increase. So many countries and so many places which are near the ocean will get submerged. So the snow which is far away in the Antarctic region, when it melts and merges into the ocean, the level of the ocean all over the world, it increases. Just an example. In the same way, when an enlightened person is there in this world, he is experiencing supreme peace and happiness, and that wisdom. So the level of happiness, level of peace and level of wisdom in this world increases just by the presence of an enlightened person. He doesn't have to do anything. His presence itself is a blessing to the whole world. So Suran Mitrar Yudasinam Madhyastadveshya Bandhushu Sadhushvapi cha Papeshu Samabuddhir Vishishyate. So this is the great grand goal of enlightenment which we can reach by following this path of meditation. So from the following verse, Bhagavan reveals this path of meditation, that how we can step by step meditate and gain this abidance in our own self, that we will see in our class day after tomorrow. Tomorrow, Sunday, we will not have this class, but tomorrow is a very important and auspicious day. It's Guru Purnima, Veda Vyasji birthday, so we also call it Vyasa Purnima. And on this occasion we remember our Guru Parampara and do namaskar to all the teachers who have blessed us. So tomorrow at 12 we will do Paduka, Guru Paduka Puja. So I will do, you can participate online. So we will do puja, we will do some chanting, do arti, and seek the blessings of the Guru. Okay, so that is the thing tomorrow. And also we have 1 week, we have studied the 5th chapter and we began the 6th chapter also. So I will have some questions. I will post them so you can answer those questions also. Okay. So till then you take care and do the what you call revision. Think about what you have heard, contemplate. Take care of yourself, remain safe, healthy, peaceful, happy. And we meet tomorrow for Guru Purnima, Guru Paduka Puja. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Jaya Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram. Boliye Siyavar Ramachandra Bhagwan ki Jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.